Good evening and welcome to Recovering Hope. My name is Marcley, and once again, pleasure to be with you here this Wednesday evening in the port city of Wilmington, North Carolina. I'll tell you, that song is amazing. Some of you may be familiar with it. I Raise a Hallelujah. This song was written, and I may have said this a few weeks ago when we played it the first time here, at a point where a man thought he was going to lose his son to a rare disease. And this church and others got together and they came together in prayer and they raised a hallelujah. And their weapon was a melody. The little boy was okay. Well, we're here to perhaps raise a hallelujah, to bring you hope in the throes of addiction, whether it's for yourself or a loved one. And we've heard from a lot of people that have turned around and have overcome this giant, this enemy of mankind, as I sometimes refer to addiction. And later on this evening, we're going to hear from another gentleman that has done just that. And that'll be approximately at 6:30. I wanted to start off by saying, well, hello, Derek. Hope you're listening, buddy, and that everything is going well with you. And I think later on tonight, we're going to just kind of, normally I have one long interview arranged or two shorter interviews arranged, and I have to rush through, a list of things that I have learned during the week or have wanted to share with the audience. And so tonight I just want to take a little breath and take a little time, perhaps even open up the phone lines. The number here is 910-299-7535 if you'd like to call, ask a question, make a comment, or perhaps you've got a short story of hope that you would like to share yourself. We'd like to hear from you. You can also send a message on Facebook. I'm about to click on that here. We should be live on Facebook, and you can type a message there, which I won't be able to, I multitask, but I can't talk, read, and respond at the same time, so maybe we can respond at a break or even after the show. My mobile number, if you would like to text a question, again, either during the show or any times afterwards, love to help you any way that we can, wherever you are. If your loved one is maybe battling with addiction and you would just like some share your story, perhaps I can point you in the right direction. I'm not a counselor or anything like that. I'm just a man who's experienced addiction in my family and am in the business now of helping people in recovery with our halfway house called Prodigal Recovery. And, like to do what I can to help you out. Again, mobile number 910-231-6020. And our website, as the name of the show, is recoveringhope.org. A reminder that this Friday now, can't believe it's here already, June 4th, from 3 to 5 on the steps of City Hall, there's going to be a rally. We've got Mayor Sappho coming down, Judge Faison, who is the judge for drug court, and several other people, people whose lives have been impacted by addiction. We'll all be coming down, some sharing their experiences. I was asked to speak. I'm not sure just what I'll say, but it'll be about hope and recovery. I can guarantee you that. So please come on down this Friday, July 4th, from 3 to 5 on the City Hall steps. Last week I read something that I saw on Facebook from a friend of mine who was rather discouraged because of the amount of medical assisted treatment. There's a couple of popular drugs that's where the medical part of that comes from, that are given to people to help them battle opiate addiction and sometimes alcohol addiction. And this person's perspective, and I tend to agree with a lot of this, maybe not all of it, but with a lot of it, that they're just exchanging one drug for another. And this is something that I wrote about that. I said, are there statistics to validate the use and abuse of subs, which is short for Suboxone, which is one of the drugs that's given to help people overcome opiate addiction? Okay, so are there statistics to validate the use and abuse of subs initiated by treatment facilities and others that prescribe them. I hope there will be some information done as follow-ups for people if they were in a rehab facility or some other sort of aftercare. Do they follow up and say, okay, this person, depending on the dosage that they were given of medical assisted treatment, it can take literally years to wean off of them without getting violently ill. Wasn't it those who wrote the prescriptions largely responsible for many who became addicted? In most cases, especially with pain meds, and always with the medical assisted treatment meds like Suboxone, you have to see the doctor to pay the doctor for the privilege to buy the drugs to kill the pain, or to buy the drugs to get off the drugs that killed the pain. Should I read that again? Okay, I will. In most cases, especially with pain meds, and always with the medical assisted treatment meds like Suboxone, you have to see the doctor to pay the doctor for the privilege to buy the drugs to kill the pain, or to buy the drugs to get off the drugs that killed the pain. So it's a vicious cycle. And I'm not saying that doctors intentionally overprescribed pain pills. In many cases, they did. And several years ago, those laws changed, which is a good thing. But in the meantime, lots of people got addicted. They're still getting addicted, even to smaller doses. And you had to pay the doctor to get the pain pills, right? Then if you become addicted, and part of the sad thing here is that when you can't get the pills legitimately from your doctor anymore because they limit it, people have to turn to the streets. And another sad part is that, from what I understand, heroin is a lot cheaper than buying the pills on the street, hence a more deadly and riskier drug choice. So I continued here. Sadly, the only thing really being killed are human beings, sons and daughters, moms and dads. Lives and families are in many cases ruined, torn apart, even if the addicted person survives. The ripple effect is extensive. Perhaps you'd like to comment on that, whichever side of this equation you might find yourself on. 910-299-7535. There's a new detox facility that is planned on. It's more than a detox. I think it's actually more of a rehab, but they will do non-medical detox. I believe it's called A Healthy Place, coming in supposedly next year. I believe they've broken ground on it, and it's going to be a 200-bed facility for both men and women. I think they're splitting it right down the middle, 100 of each. But it's going to be a non-med detox facility. I don't know what that means. Well, yes, I should backtrack. I don't know what they use in place of the meds. I know there are a lot of great holistic therapies that can be had because, again, getting back to one of my opening statements here is that, oftentimes people are given, and I read a lot of this last week, are given prescriptions to either methadone or Suboxone. I think Suboxone is more common, and it is a very, very difficult drug to stop using. And it can take a very long time to properly wean off of them. And when your prescription runs out, you have to go to the good doctor again to renew your prescription. That doctor's visit, if you do not have insurance, and a lot of people don't that are caught up, in the throes of addiction, that's expensive. And then if you don't have insurance for the meds, they are also very expensive. So the medical and pharmaceutical businesses kind of thrive off of this, and that's very sad. And again, I'm not painting every, pharmacist or doctor in one picture here. There are more good than bad. I know that, but I've heard about Big Pharma, the Sackler family. What's the name of that company? It's escaped my mind here, but there's more than one. There's a lot of them that have absolutely intentionally misled the public on the addictability, if that's a word, of the medication that they were giving out. intentionally. They've even admitted it, and it's still being done to this day. So, again, I'll put the question out there: what is non-med detox? And if we don't get an answer tonight, perhaps I'll have an answer for you next week as I speak to some people out and about. I spoke to somebody who we will be having on our program in a few weeks, I think. His name is Giuseppe, and he has been doing a recovery talk show in Canada for about the past 6 years. And I asked him, we had a conversation just yesterday. I asked him how the situation was in Canada compared to the U.S. and, the problems that we see here that are fairly new with fentanyl. And speaking of, the issue that, they're putting fentanyl in a lot of pills, and that a lot of people that are consuming these pills think that they're just getting either maybe a low dose or even a high dose of Xanax, which by itself, in most cases, if you're not taking a handful of them, are tolerable. They're not going to kill you. Or even things like the ADD medication. I can never think of those ones, but you know what they are. Or oxycodone, and but they're putting fentanyl in them, and the people that I have spoken to who have lost loved ones from that are certain that their children had no idea that there was fentanyl in those pills. I won't tell you exactly what Giuseppe said on this talk show, but let's just say he doesn't believe that. He believes that most, especially the younger generation, they're on the street, they're at a party or something, and they're buying a pill. He said fentanyl isn't everything, and they know it. Now, that would upset a lot of people, I think, to have them realize that, well, did their son or daughter know that they were rolling the dice on this? I mean, I know a few people. One of them I interviewed on this program several months ago. His drug of choice was fentanyl. I mean, I've done some risky and crazy things in my day, but to know that you're injecting or swallowing something that is not exactly sold over the counter in a drugstore, where at least the dosage that you're getting is the one that's written on the label, and to just roll the dice and take that stuff, man, that's nuts. And like Giuseppe reminded me yesterday, when somebody does overdose and die from a batch of heroin that is most likely laced with fentanyl, there are people that want to go to that dealer because they know he's got the strong stuff. It's crazy. It's not logical. I had a breakfast meeting with a woman this morning who's in recovery, and that's exactly it. It's not logical. Logic kind of goes out the window oftentimes when you're dealing with something like addiction. I was listening to somebody that this fellow Giuseppe was interviewing. I looked at some of his podcasts, and there was a gentleman who was actually from my part of the world, up there in Long Island, New York, and he was active in addiction himself. He's a professional man, but this drug knows no boundaries. This disease, I should say, knows no boundaries. And he used the term "the unspeakable things," and he referred to things that go on in dungeons. Okay, I'm not going to go in too much more detail there. You kind of get the picture, but the horrible things that you wouldn't want to see. And I'm not just get that dungeon picture out of your mind, okay? But just, a home where there's people that are so strung out on drugs that if they don't get that next dose, that next fix, they're going to be very sick. And that's how they look. And I mean, some of the stories that my son has told me, some of the homes that he's been in, and waking up on the floor and you're dope sick, and you're thinking about, how and where am I going to get my next fix? So not that they can get high, so that they could feel normal. And that's what makes this a disease as opposed to a choice. And that really is a whole nother conversation. Again, if you'd like to chime in for the first half of the show here, we'll have the lines open, 910-299-7535. You can also comment, email, ask questions, look at our Prodigal Recovery halfway house and that's all at recoveringhope.org. And I hope that I can get some feedback from people. I mentioned last week, and I'm just going to repeat this one more time, I think, about a lawyer that I was talking to a little over a week ago, and he does represent drug dealers. Now, a lot of lawyers represent drug dealers. But what I found to be disturbing is that he would say that the pawn on the street gets busted. Well, that pawn's boss comes in and pays their legal fees, and I'm sure it's in cash. And the first thought that occurred to me is, okay, so this attorney and many others know who these guys are. You see the problem there? And I realize that, they're in business to represent people. Everybody's entitled to a fair defense, right? But it just seems to me like these guys are putting these pawns back on the street, selling drugs to people that are killing people. I think something's got to change there. I don't know. Again, 299-7535. Give me a buzz. Tell me I'm wrong. Yell at me. Whatever. I don't care. Just keep it clean or TK is going to knock you off the air. Texas reports an 800% increase in fentanyl seizures since January. Texas alone seized enough illicit fentanyl to kill the entire state of New York. It's a big state. And no, we're not all bad, so you don't want us all to die. Arizona has reported a 257% increase in fentanyl seizures since January. That's a big increase. I think I read this a couple of weeks ago, and a 2% increase would be a lot. We need to see decreases. But it seems like with this administration, we're not going to see decreases in this stuff over the border in a very long time. Now, could this have happened if the administration did not change? Possibly, but it's unlikely, and certainly not to this extent. Basically, Biden is just waving them on in. Come on in, boys. We'll give you a job. We'll give you benefits, and we won't arrest you. Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right, from last week. We had a couple of guests last week. The first one up was Pastor Meg McBride. Pastor McBride is in the process of starting a church called Hope Recovery Community. And it may be a coincidence that sounds a lot like the name of this show, which is Recovering Hope. But her church is going to be Hope Recovery Community, and it is for people that are in recovery. She is in recovery herself. And yes, pastors can get addicted too. I know another one in the area, and he's been on the show as well. So, like I said before, this disease knows no boundaries. Meg has got double-digit years, drug and alcohol-free, and is going to be pastoring a church in a neighborhood that she lives in here in Wilmington. I don't know if she said she was brought up there, but it's kind of nice, she was brought up in the area, and that's our community church. It's intended for anyone who has dealt with addiction personally and or their families. This will be at the Devon Park United Methodist Church, and will be similar to the Celebrate Recovery format. And she was doing those a lot, and she kind of did her own take on it. So Meg plans to have a midweek service when they get started in mid-September. And we had a caller on the line, but I wasn't looking at the waving hands in the control room there from TK. Sorry, call if you'd like to call back. 299-7535. Would love to take your call. And second half of the show, we had our friend Mark Hall. Mark was in the financial services industry for 20 years, made some mistakes, and paid for those mistakes for 10 years behind bars. Mark now works for Hope Ministries, which we'll learn more about tonight with the guest that we have after 6:30, and his name is Chase Campbell. We'll be hearing from him later on. But, okay, we got another caller on the line, and let's take the call. Good morning, caller. What's your name?
Hey, it's Neil.
Hey, Neil. How you doing?
Good. Repping Amityville here, Mark. How you doing?
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, my hometown.
Hey, I just wanted to say, yeah, your old town, not too far away. I'm a bit younger than you, but no, you wanted somebody to tell you you were wrong, and I just want to tell you you're right, and you're doing a great thing. And the people that they're putting back on the streets are basically selling guns, if you ask me, and they should be treated as such. So.
So you're talking about my problem with what this lawyer is doing or not doing, or was it about the Suboxone?
No, about what the lawyers are doing, right? I mean,
yeah.
like you said, everybody's entitled to a living, but, we all get to make choices, and they're making a decision, and in my opinion, they're making a bad decision because there's plenty of business out there for them other than that.
Yeah, I would think so. And see, that's one reason, Neil, that I believe, and it's sad, but it's true. I mean, we can, put a dent in this pandemic of addiction, as I call it. We're never going to stop it, partially because there's just too much money every step of the way. The people that are getting paid to close their eyes at the border, the justice system, the jails, the lawyers, and a lot of people in the recovery business, quite frankly, because, a normal day in a treatment center is about $1,000. What are they doing for $1,000? These people are not being fed lobster and caviar and pampered and massaged and have hot tubs and, maybe in some of the, high-end ones that the movie stars go to. But, around here it's $30,000 for a month. And they just put them through the process. And these places, at least around here, there's plenty of drugs in them. They're not keeping the drugs out. And when they leave, part of my opening, Neil, was about when they leave these places, a lot of them are either prescribed Suboxone or other maintenance drugs that they have to continue to pay the doctors and the pharmacies. So it's a real
They're almost like the suppliers to themselves, too, because they know that they're getting, in a lot of cases, they know that they can get a return visit and start the process again, right?
Right,
so.
right. Yeah. And so they get it on both ends, and again, I said, a lot of doctors overprescribe the pain meds. That caused the addiction, to get started. It happened in my own family, and we all know plenty of people it's happened to. And then you go back to the doctors to get prescribed meds to get you off the meds that they were trying to kill the pain in the beginning. So it's a vicious cycle. I think people, need to know about it, bring attention to it. Now, there's a time and a place for these medical assisted treatments. I'm not saying that they're not good. One of my sons, had to go that route, and he did it, and he did it the right way, and he's clean today. But, there was somebody that we also run a recovery house here in Wilmington. There was somebody that wanted to come in, but he's on, I think, 23 milligrams of Suboxone a day. That's a lot of milligrams. It would take years to taper off of that. And if he had to, God forbid that guy got arrested, was thrown in jail, he would be very, very sick. He could even die. Those high doses are crazy. And I know another guy that was going to a doctor for years. He was kept on 8 milligrams a day. That should be the starting point, and you taper from there every week thereafter. So I don't know. Again, I'm not a doctor. I just see it, from a different perspective, and it's a very unfortunate. And Neil, thanks for calling, man. I don't know if you want to give your last name.
I'm sorry that you had to live through that, but keep up the good work, and it'll help if it helps at least one person. It's a great work, man. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I see you wrote on the Facebook page. Thanks, Neil. Appreciate it. Spread the
All
word
right, thanks,
in
Mark.
Aville,
Have a good one. Be safe.
All right, you too,
beautiful
man.
too, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, an old Amityville friend. It's where I'm from on Long Island. Yes, that Amityville, and I could tell you all about that someday too. All right, I was in the middle of talking about our second guest last week, Mark Hall. So unfortunately, Mark made a couple of serious mistakes, spent 10 years behind bars, and he now works for Hope Ministries, which again we'll learn more about. But a little bit more about Mark. Mark dedicated his life to helping other prisoners and raising public awareness about incarceration. He's taught several classes and reached hundreds of students. He's established an educational platform about addiction, homelessness, and incarceration. And you can learn more at facelessnomore.org. He's the Assistant Director of Operations for the Durham Rescue Mission. His story will help you learn about the larger story of what is happening behind our prison walls. And Mark he's a part of a program at Duke University to teach men, women, and their families how to deal with these issues that, to some, do not have a face, or you might not think they have a story. But the addiction, homelessness, and incarceration, again, for more, please go to facelessnomore.org. Mark's a great guy, and he's very active now in helping others. He helped us through the Durham Rescue Mission furnished Prodigal Recovery coming up on 4 years ago, and just got a real big heart for people that are facing different types of challenges. He has spoken with our friend Derek. For those of you who aren't tuned in regularly, Derek is now a friend of mine that we've befriended each other. He is behind bars and will be for the next several years. But we've lift each other up. We write each other. Sent him a couple things while he's in prison, and this is the kind of thing that I'm sure that Mark will be able to help him. And if you know other people that are behind bars, you can email Mark at Faceless No More. I know there's families out there, moms, dads, children, brothers, sisters. Like, what do? Your loved one's locked up. What happens next? What happens when they get out? I think a lot of these questions Mark can help you to answer. So coming up, we're going to hear from, like I said before, a gentleman named Chase Campbell. Chase is the missions director at Hope Ministries. Chase was a BMX pro until he got in an accident. And you can guess what happened next. Or just stay tuned. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Recovering Hope. This is Marcley. Happy to be here with you, and we're here to let you know that there is hope for those who experience an addiction, and there are tools that they can use, and for that of their families and other loved ones that feel as though there is no hope. I've spoken to this program is now in its 8th month, I think, and on and off the air, but more on the air. I've spoken to many, many people who have been through multiple rehabs. And I can assure you that their closest friends and family pretty much said, it's just not going to happen. This is just the way it's going to be. Like, there's no hope. There is hope, folks. This one gentleman's story that I'm about to read here, his name is Kevin Alter. I'd recommend looking him up on Facebook. I think it's the Addict's Diary that his blog is, and he was in treatment 29 times. I know, again, if you've listened to this program, I've mentioned his name numerous times because it's worth mentioning. And here's a little something that I copied off of his page not too long ago. His Mondays were always terrible in active addiction. I'd climb out of whatever motel room I had barricaded myself into for the weekend as I injected cocaine around the clock and go face the world that I dreaded so much. The second the sunlight hit my face, the feelings of not wanting to live anymore would return. I'd observe all of the regular people going about their lives, wondering what happened to mine. They were heading to work. They were picking up their kids from school. They were meeting their friends for something to eat. They were walking their dogs. They were living life. Me, I couldn't even speak. I'd whisper. I couldn't even stand still. I'd twitch and jerk uncontrollably. All I would want to do was sleep. But at this point, sleep was only possible with one thing: heroin. And so began my journey to do just that. Where was my dope dealer? How could I finagle one more bundle? It's amazing how many hopeless days in a row you can string together in active addiction, yet still figure out how to accomplish your daily goal of getting high. Yet in recovery, we so often want to give up at the first roadblock. As soon as something doesn't go our way, we're ready to throw in the towel. Nothing ever went my way in active addiction, yet I held on. So maybe things aren't going your way in recovery. Maybe you're thinking about giving up. Maybe it's too hard for you. And maybe you should remember that you know how to struggle. Remember that you know how to survive. Remember that you know how to push forward despite any evidence that things will get better, despite any possibility of change on the horizon. So if your days in recovery are hopeless, string them together like you were chasing a bundle of dope. Fight through them to stay clean. Just like in active addiction, you'll get to the goal. Hold on. Hashtag the Addict's Diary. We've spoken to Kevin a couple times on this program. Like I said, he was in rehabs 29 times, and that doesn't count the amount of times that he was in an outpatient. That's the word I was looking for, an outpatient facility. and now he operates a rehab facility. Kevin's doing very well today, and we're very happy about that. And we have Chase on the line.
Hey guys,
Hey, Chase, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. How are you guys doing?
Good. I'm good. I got that extra couple of minutes to read that story from Kevin.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's awesome.
So, Chase, I did a little, preview of who you are and who you work for and stuff. But would you please give us, a couple of minutes on your background and what you're doing and what got you there?
Yeah, for sure, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. Well, my name is Chase Campbell. I'm 34 years old. I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the admissions director for Hope Center Ministries.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long-term faith-based treatment facility.
Mm-hmm.
Little background is, I played sports growing up and professional BMX racer.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very involved in sports and, in that lifestyle. But, sometimes the glory is not all that you need,
Right.
Having everything is not having everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now, you said, are you admissions or admissions director?
Admissions director.
Admissions.
So I'm the admissions. Yes, sir.
Okay. I from our conversation yesterday, I wrote down missions director because I know it's a Christian-based program, so I thought there might be something with missions in there. Okay, so you're the person that people come to when they're inquiring to come to Hope Ministries?
Yes, sir. I'm basically the front line,
Mm-hmm.
Hope Center Ministries. And not only am I the admissions director for North Carolina, but I'm also the national admissions director.
Okay.
So I admit nationally.
Wow.
So there's 27 centers worldwide, and I try to admit as much as I can in them centers as well. But yeah, it's awesome, man. I love what I do. I've actually been through the program myself, so I've seen it all,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm excited to give back, man.
Yeah, well, that's a very good attitude. For people that would like to know more, and I'd like to ask to know more about it myself. But what's a good number for Hope Ministries?
It's going to be 919
Mm-hmm.
920
Mm-hmm.
3283. It's 3283.
Okay, 919-920-3283, and that's Hope Ministries, correct?
Hope Center Ministries.
Hope
Yes, sir.
Center Ministries.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought there was another word there. Okay.
Process is pretty easy to vet. Just give me a call and I'll go over an initial contact form, make sure they qualify, then we'll talk about placement.
Okay. And
Yes,
how does one qualify for that, Chase?
So basically, we want to make sure that first it's a vocational training program, so they are going to develop life skills to not only develop schedule and structure of the program, but they're going to go to vocational training for 40 hours and we can develop a new trait.
Okay.
So we want to make sure they're physically able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Certain medications that we only approve, because we're not a mental health or dual diagnosis, we're actually just a substance abuse treatment program.
Mm-hmm.
So we have an approved medication list that we just make sure anybody coming in is on that approved medication.
Okay.
And also nobody on disability.
Okay.
We try to steer from that part of it. But that's about it on the qualification-wise.
Let me ask you about the vocational training. What if somebody comes in there and they have a trade or a job? Do you still train them for something else, or can they continue on the path that they were on?
Yes. So a big thing about treatment, I think, in my eyes,
Mm-hmm.
is to change people, places, and things.
Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
for example, for myself, I ran a mobile detail pressure washing company. Well, if I would have came in to the facility and did a mobile detail pressure washing, my mindset would have changed, and I wouldn't have humbled myself.
Mm-hmm.
So different campuses around the organizations have different contracts that they have.
Okay.
Some that are amazing, and at 10 months you can get hired on full time. So we try to steer guys with their needs if they want, but we also want to make sure that they're humbled.
Right.
And want to develop life skills, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you said that there are different campuses, if you will, do things a little differently.
Yes, sir. We actually have 27 around the country and 2 in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Every Hope Center is going to have the same schedule, same structure, but different job contracts around that area. So whatever.
Okay, so it
is in
depends
your
on
area.
the industry in the area, I guess.
Yes, sir.
All right. And so you help them find this job, they get the training, they get paid. does the money go to the center? Does it go into an account for them? I'm really asking for a couple of reasons because I'm looking to improve on Prodigal recovery myself and getting some ideas on what we can do, but I also want people to know, what you guys offer, and we can get into your locations also. So what happens with the money that they make?
Okay, so the program is actually a year long, and it's broken into three phases. So the first phase is actually 6 weeks, which is 45 days.
Mm-hmm.
The residents are going to come into the program. It's more of like a classroom setting, focus period time.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually going to be counseled twice a week individually. They're going to go to 3 groups each week, and also attend Celebrate Recovery and church on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
The second phase of the program is actually 38 weeks long. It's called a vocational training part of the program. So not only are we going to maintain that structure and schedule, but we're going to teach them life skills.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to go to their job and do that vocational training,
mm-hmm.
which actually pays for their treatment. So that's going to go to Hope Center, but pay for their treatment, because every house that we have is a little bit over 4,000 square foot.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's provided for. Nothing. They have to come in with nothing. They don't have to have anything.
Okay.
Just the body.
Okay.
The third phase. At 10 months in the program's third phase, they're actually going to receive their own paycheck. They're going to get their cell phone back. They're
Mm-hmm.
actually going to be focusing on transitional living and what they're going to do for their aftercare.
Okay.
Where you're going to work, where you're going to live. So we want to make sure that when they leave the program, that they're actually going to be maintained and set up for success.
That sounds like a good deal.
I think an awesome thing about the program as well is we don't accept any insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is we're actually a one-time payment of $700,
mm-hmm.
and the resident will actually get a $700 graduation aid check when they complete the program.
Okay.
So from third phase on, at 10 months to 12 months, you're going to get 2 months of pay and walk out with a $700 check.
Mm-hmm.
So transitional living is almost successful when you leave the program.
Right. And let's see, so that first transition, was it the first 6 weeks of classroom stuff? That's covered, I guess, by that $700 with the anticipation that they're going to stick with the program and do the 38 weeks of vocational training.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, that sounds good. And well, I just lost that question. It came and gone. Yeah,
it happens to me all the time.
I hate when that happens. If I don't write it down, it doesn't stick.
Right.
What kind of success rate are you seeing as far as the completion of this 12-month program? 1 year long.
Anyone that tells you 100%, they're lying.
That's right.
Because it's a tough process sometimes. But through an 18-month period, we kind of calculated at about a 67.6 success rate.
Okay.
And through a 12-month period, it's actually a 74.6 success rate.
Okay, so
we find out.
Sometimes they go 18 months, I guess?
Yeah, for myself, personally,
mm-hmm.
I went 18 months. And what that was, I went through the program,
mm-hmm.
Wanted to intern with the program. I wanted to work for the program.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I'll do whatever it takes. So I actually interned for six months.
I see.
So 90% of our staff is actually hired from within the program. So when you complete, we want to hire from within. We want to have that Hope Center DNA in every campus.
Right.
It's very important. Yes, sir.
And how many are in the North Carolina area, Chance?
So right now we have a Dunn location that's actually in Wayne County temporarily. Mm-hmm. We also have another male facility in Wayne County. Each male facility that we have in Wayne County actually hosts 24 beds each.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then I'm actually working on a women's facility right now.
Okay.
So hopefully within the next 4 to 6 months, there will be a women's facility as well.
So it doesn't sound like a residential home type setting. This is more of a commercial institutional type setting, perhaps, to have 24 beds?
Well, actually, inpatient residential. So every house we have is a little over 4,000 square foot. So it's big enough to hold 24 residents.
Okay.
But yes, it's beautiful campuses.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit over 40 to 100 square feet each.
Yeah, sounds nice.
Sir.
And let's give out the website a couple times.
It's going to be
Go ahead.
HOPECM.com. That's HopeCharlieMary.com.
Okay.
HOPECM.com.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I know what the question was before. I would imagine meals and their basic needs are included.
Everything's provided, yes, sir.
Okay.
I think a big thing too for anyone listening is it takes a lot for somebody to come into the program, and not being insurance based. A lot of people don't have the funding to come in. So my job is to reach out to the community and reach out to pastors and churches and just, try to fundraise for my Hope for Recovery account. So what my Hope for Recovery account does is actually anyone that can't afford the funding to the program actually pays for their treatment, the first $700 fee. So anyone willing to help out Hope for Recovery North Carolina, that'd be awesome. And that's www.hopecm.com, and you just donate to Hope for Recovery North Carolina.
Okay, so going to hopecm.com, there's a link that they can make a donation.
Yes, sir.
And that's for that $700 for that initial 6 weeks or whatever until they start their vocational training.
Yes, sir. That's it.
And you find that it's, again, nothing's 100%, but, after that 6 weeks, I guess during that 6 weeks, you're finding a vocational position for them so that they go right from that 6 weeks, week 7, they start the training no matter what.
Yes, sir. 45 days, they're ready to take on any job contract that they have.
Okay.
Here in North Carolina, we have UniFirst contract. We have landscaping. We have detailing, pressure washing. We actually have concrete. So there's multiple angles that they can take. And we don't try to give options, but we try to best fit to where they're going to be. We don't want them to wear their stuff out or not enjoy their day.
Right.
So we want them to be comfortable. But
okay,
everyone's really eager to get out there, and for myself included, I had to humble myself. And know that this is going to work. And all it did was build character and actually taught me how to live life all over again. Like I told you earlier, being a professional athlete and being a business owner, you never think you're going to wind up in situations like this, but it hurts.
Right.
And come in and you change your life.
Boy, it sounds like a great program. And I guess, if they want something, I don't know what, but just some personal luxuries from time to time, whether it's buying a little something special for themselves, for their mothers or wives or, somebody's birthday. Are they able to do stuff like that?
Yeah, we're huge on family restoration. So there's
good. That's important.
There's also a rec Saturday, so they get to go out and skydive and go to Drive Shack, golf.
Go out and skydive.
Saturday.
Just go out and jump out of a plane, huh? That's an interesting.
Every Saturday. Every Saturday they're doing something fun.
Are you serious? You take them skydiving?
Yeah, we take them skydiving. Drive Shack.
Sign me up.
Let's go. Let's do it. But a huge aspect of Hope Center is our motto is actually restoring lives, restoring families, and restoring communities. And restoring the families is huge. You can actually see your family 4 times a week here if they're approved visitors. So
after how much time? Is there a time limit?
Even within the first 30 days, your family can actually attend Celebrate Recovery with you.
Okay.
They can actually come on campus for life group, midweek service on campus. They can come. Every campus around the organization is having a family night, 6 to 8 p.m.
Nice.
Every Friday night. So they're going to come in. We're going to have a potluck. We're going to have a group with the families. Recovery Clinic is going to split the families and split the residents and do a codependency group with the families. They can also attend church on Sundays. And I think my favorite part ever in the program, I was an intern in Texas. And I see a man come in with his wife. He goes to the Women's Center. His wife goes to the Women's Center. They lose custody of their kid.
Wow.
And then 12 months later, they both complete the same day, and they walk across stage, and they both have their kid hand in hand.
Oh, wow.
And, that's what restoring lives is for me.
Yeah, man.
And to be an intern, I looked at it, and I said, this is what Hope Center is all about. I love it. I want to do that. I want to be a part of Hope Center.
So 27 locations. Without naming all the states, are you coast to coast in just different pockets of the country?
We're coast to coast. We also have a beautiful location in Hawaii.
Oh, nice.
I got to go experience that about a month and a half ago, and it's beautiful.
You're making recovery very tempting.
Right?
Hawaii,
we love it.
skydiving.
We love it. So, and the way Hope Center is going, man, it's just there's so much support from the churches and the families, and everybody loves Hope Center becomes a part of it. So there's 27 now. There's probably going to be 40 by the end of this year.
Oh, wow.
And so we're growing so fast. It's just amazing what God's doing in our life. Man.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Yeah. And awesome. How long has this organization been around?
It started in 2007 in Waverly, Tennessee. Small town in Waverly. Small little house. And Josh Hanna, he's the president and founder of Hope Center, and also the president and founder of Compassion Church Network.
Okay.
Is our fearless leader, and he had a vision, and his vision has come to reality since 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And he's such an amazing guy and a pastor and a mentor and a friend to me.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I love the guy. And
he's from Tennessee?
He's from Tennessee. He's actually in Oklahoma City now at the corporate office.
Mm-hmm.
But man, would you love to have a conversation with him?
Yes, I would. Awesome. Let's set that up.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's what I do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wow, that's amazing. And, you're saying it's amazing what God is doing. And this is a Christ-centered ministry. And, when we spoke the other day on the phone, our first conversation, I know of a number of, and I think I might have to say alleged, Christ-centered homes for recovery. And they sort of impose or force religious, if you will, activities. They force them to do Bible studies. They make them go to church. And, you can't force your faith on anyone just as much as you cannot force recovery. And I asked you to explain that, and I think you explained it very well. Would you like to share that with the audience now, too?
Yeah, I think if I can't remember, I think I said it's not about religion, it's about relationship.
That's right.
And nobody's here to force anything down your throat or say, hey, you need to do this or this. We're open. It's non-denominational. We just want you to come in and get better. And I can only share what testimony I have. And
yes, that's right.
I got clean, and my God is my Lord and Savior is Jesus Christ.
Right, mine too.
And He saved me. And so when I share my story, He's always a part of it because He did change me. He brought me. He lifted me from the dead, from the graves. I promise you.
Yes.
But we're never forcing anything. We're always open to say, hey, man,
you can.
Give us a time. And I think it's funny because I'm the front line, and I take some of these guys into the center, and on the way there, they're like, Chase, man, I don't know, buddy, I don't know.
Yeah.
I said, man, just be open to it, man. So
that's right.
I come back in 3 weeks later, and they're smiling. They're like, man, I love it. I'm like, what? I just love it. I said, well, love what? They're like, I just love life. I'm like, that's great, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Boy, that's
what
great.
makes my day.
Well, I think your philosophy was like that of one of my sons, and basically he says, as you did the other day on the phone, the faith is caught, not taught.
Oh man!
Right?
Say that again. Say that again.
Yeah, and like live by example, doing the right thing, and again, like you had said, you just love on these guys, and there's nothing wrong with that. Let them know that you care. Expose your vulnerable parts of your heart. Put it out there, and that's kind of the way I am, and it's what I do. And some people think it's not masculine, to expose those parts, but you know what? I think it's just the opposite. I think a real man will be vulnerable and expose certain things and tell it like it is. And sometimes people don't want to hear that, but sometimes that's what they need to hear.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Truth and love. Truth and love.
That's right. That's right. Well, Chase, man, I really appreciate you taking the time on short notice to share with us, all about Hope Ministries here. And again, the phone number is 919-920-3283. You can check them out at hopecm.com. And if you'd like to make a contribution to help get those men, soon to perhaps be women as well, you can go to their website and click on Hope for Recovery. Is that what they would do?
Yeah, it's going to be the same website. Donate. Right. Hope for Recovery, North Carolina.
Okay. And you said you have 2 centers in North Carolina, in Dunn and one in Wayne County, or are they the same county?
Yeah, we're going to have 2 right now in Wayne County.
2 in Wayne County, okay.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir.
So Dunn is in Wayne County, and you can tell this Yankee doesn't know that much about North Carolina, even though I've been here for 25 years.
I've only been here since January, and I love it. But
okay.
Yeah, the Dunn campus is actually temporary in Wayne County, and then they're going to move back to Dunn.
I see.
But
okay.
They're here in Wayne County now. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's right. You're from Nashville.
Yes, sir.
Well,
and
Chase,
just one more thing.
Sure,
if you don't
go
mind,
ahead. No, not at all.
I appreciate you so much for having me on, man. And
sure.
This is an amazing opportunity to spread the word of not only Hope Center but recovery in general.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to thank a couple people
Sure.
in my life, and that's Josh Hanna, of course, the president and founder of Hope Center, Gary Grace, who's my spiritual father and mentor. Also, just the people in North Carolina has brought me in, like a Frida McDonald.
Yes.
You know, and
Yeah, she's
Darnell
great.
Journeyman.
Yeah.
Mark Hall.
Mark Hall, yeah.
Them guys, them people there, just their spirit is so good, and they'll do anything.
Yeah.
So that's why when I give my number to you guys, I am 24/7.
Okay.
I don't care if it's 3 in the morning and somebody's struggling. That's my number. You can call me. I'll answer the phone.
Well,
it's life or death. It's life or death for me, and I just want to spread the word of awareness. So I appreciate you.
Okay. Well, hey, man, me too. And this program will be on my Facebook page. I don't know how long it stays there, but the podcast will be available. It usually takes a day or two. Sometimes it's a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. But you can go to, or anybody else can go to, recoveringhope.org/radio. And that also is the website for our recovery house called Prodigal Recovery. So, well, Chase,
Awesome.
maybe I'll see you on the Zoom call next Tuesday. And if not, if we don't speak before then, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Have a good one, guys.
You're very welcome. You too. And it sounds like a very interesting program there, folks. I don't know how many people got to listen to the whole thing, but, you know, it's a comprehensive program, typically 12 months. He stayed on for 18 months. And they have 6 weeks of a classroom situation where, you know, you're discussing, you know, counseling, and I don't know what they teach you in that classroom setting, but obviously, if you've had a serious drug addiction, there's a couple things that maybe you could do differently and learn to do, change some things. Then there's 38 weeks of a vocational training, so you go out and you're learning job skills. Something new, again, like he had said, it's changing your scenery, the people, places, and things that you were familiar with that now kind of need to change. And even if perhaps you don't stick with that particular trade or vocation or job, it's something different. I know for myself, when I started construction right out of high school, I had no idea that I was going to be a contractor all of my life. And it just turned out that way, and I very much enjoy what I do. I enjoy what I do in this recovery business now, too. It really does bring a lot of joy when you can see somebody transform their lives, you know, from literally being on the streets to perhaps, you know, just a steady job and or your own business, as is the case with many. And then after that 38 weeks, you get to keep your pay for your job. You save up a couple of months. You save up some money for those last couple of months, and then you get that $700 investment back that you made coming in there. So you're set up. You're established. You're ready to live independently, and that really should be the goal for any kind of a recovery residence, a structured living environment. And with some of this information, I would love to change up some of the things that we do to make an actual program that could work better at Prodigal Recovery. Well, next week, we're going to be speaking with a gentleman who I believe is the one who formed an organization called PAL, and that stands for Parents of Addicted Loved Ones. And for a little while there at Port City Community Church, which is our church, I was going to meetings that were very similar to that, just a group of mostly parents. Sometimes a child would come in, a young adult would come in and share their experience as well. And my son Chris came to one of the meetings that I were in and that I was in, and he shared that. Just a group of parents sharing their experiences in a church setting. And you know, as Chase said, you know, the help and the benefit of a relationship with Jesus Christ is so, I believe it's imperative for real long-term recovery and just life in general. But since recovery is a subject here, we can kind of leave it at that. Again, folks, anybody, if you would like to get in touch with me, the website, like I've been saying, is recoveringhope.org. If you just want to send an email, mark@recoveringhope.org. My mobile number is 910-231-6020. Call, text. I shut my phone off at about 9:30 at night, but if you leave a message, I'll get back to you. If you send me a text, I will reply. It really does make me feel good to be able to help somebody to share some of the experiences that we have had to help your experiences perhaps not be quite as bad. And remember, as long as there's breath in your lungs, there is hope for recovery. And please let me also remind you that this Friday, City Hall steps 3 to 5. There's going to be a rally that's put on by an organization. There's going to be multiple cities around the country put on by a company called, an organization called APPALLed, Association of People Against Lethal Drugs. There's a lot of people out there doing so much to make a difference to battle this pandemic of drug addiction and drug poisonings. And there is a difference. If you've been listening to this program for any length of time, you know that there's a difference. So, TK, we're going to actually go out a little bit early tonight instead of going right up to that last minute. If you could play that song, I Raise a Hallelujah, as we're going out. Appreciate it, folks. Thank you. Good night. God bless, and hope to see you Friday.
I raise a hallelujah in the presence of my enemies. I raise a hallelujah